Hello friends. Today we are going to discuss about second very important aspects of sequential modular approach after partition. The second important aspect after partitioning is the tiering or decomposing network of an irreducible group. So when we partition, we know that there are group of units which form a cyclic nature, which cannot be solved in a sequential manner unless and until we identify some of the streams to be tiered. When I say tier, what I mean is we have to initially estimate those streams, and then the simulator will simulate the entire process and will generate the tiered stream again. It will compare the two streams, and then it converges. So identifying a tier stream within a given irreducible group or within a given partition is very important step in sequential modular approach simulators. Many process simulators will give you suggestion of the possible TS streams. However, you as a chemical engineer knows the entire process physically. You know that which stream has a better candidature for being a TS stream. So if you know the process properly, you can always override the suggestion given by the simulator, because simulator works on a mathematical form. It doesn't give you everything based on the the analysis which you can do as a chemical engineer. However, the such algorithms are best suited when we are aware about what we are supposed to do. So we are going to discuss that as we proceed further. But whenever there is an irreducible group, or whenever there is a partition with more than one units and which is cyclic in nature, we have to determine the minimum number of TS streams and their location. Like, it's not only number which is important, it is also which streams we need to tier is more important. There are so many approaches, there are so many algorithms in front of us, and there are three things which we have to understand. Those three things are whether we want to have minimum number of TS streams, or we want to have minimum number of tier variables, or we want to have minimum number of breakage of the loops. And it will be clear as we proceed further, maybe in series of 2-3 videos, that what we would like to do. So this is classically an optimization problem. See, and any optimization problem will have more than one solutions depending upon what is your objective, right? So I often say, I often convey this in my class, that when you want to go to watch a movie, right, and when there are three, four different friends for the same movie, all the four friends might be talking about 4 different cinema halls, because one student would be more interested, one of your friends might be more interested in the screen size, one of the friends might be more inclined toward the the comfort of the seats and the AC. One of them might be more foodie, who would like to go and say that, okay, in so and so cinema hall the food is not good, like I would like to go to XYZ. And someone is very much giving importance to the surround systems. So for watching a specific movie, say X, if there are 4 friends, it is quite possible that if given given a free hand to all of them individually, they'll all end up going to different cinema halls for watching the same movie. At the end of the day, you are going to watch the same movie, same actors, same directors, same songs, everything same story. But what you wanted is completely different. We also forget one very important parameter, that is cost. So someone would say that, oh, so and so theater is very cheap, so I would like to go there. Someone would say that, no, that is very cheap, I don't want to go there, I would like to go to one which is with a higher amount of money. So it all depends on what is your objective. So whenever there is an optimization problem, the objective matters. In the same manner here also, whether our objective is minimum number of tier stream, or minimum number of tier variables, or minimum number of loop breaking, depending upon that, the answer may be different. And even for a specific objective, there may be some 3-4 different options in front of you. Then you as a chemical engineer have to decide which is your take on that. So one of the possible algorithms to find the TS stream is Barkley and Motard algorithm. This algorithm guarantees the minimum number of TS streams. So your objective is fixed, minimum number of TS streams. You are not worried about number of variables, you are not worried about the breakage of the loop. Your only objective is to identify minimum number of TS stream. However, when we say that minimum number of TS stream, we have to make sure that the entire irreducible group can be solved by identifying this many number of TS streams. Now there are other approaches as well. The other approaches are finding out the loops. You find the loop of the given partition, all the possible loops. I will show you as we proceed further, maybe in next video or maybe next video, how to find out the loops. And within the loops you have to do some mathematical manipulations, some observations, and you can say that this is my set of TS stream. And based on that, there can be many number of TS set which you can obtain, and then it is your job to identify whether you want to go with minimum number of TS stream, minimum number of tier variables, or minimum number of tier breakage of loop. So the first one which is shown here always guarantees minimum number of TS stream, whereas the second one, there are two different algorithms. They will they will give you free hand. Now it's up to you to decide whether you want minimum number of TS stream, minimum number of tier variables, or minimum breakage of the loop. And I think that these things would be clear as we proceed further. In fact, you can go back to my previous videos as well, whereas I would have discussed about all these three aspects. So let's start with Barkley and Motard algorithm. Basically, it works on a principle of a signal flow graph getting converted into arcs and nodes. So these are your units, process units. These are your process units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are your process units, and this process units are connected by streams. So these are the streams which are connecting these process units. So the streams are considered as arcs, and process units are considered as nodes. Right now, the first thing which you have to do in Barkley and Motard is exchange node and arc. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 becomes my arcs, and like the streams becomes my node. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 becomes my node. So that's what I need to do. Now let's say this is the example of Barkley and Motard algorithm application. Say for example, I have got a partition A, B, C, D, E. You can see that it is all connected with each other. You cannot solve them in sequence. You have to solve them simultaneously, and you cannot do that in a sequential modular approach. So you have to break some stream, right? You have to tier some stream here, and these are your units, 5 units and 8 streams. So as such 5 nodes and 8 arcs, which needs to be converted into 8 nodes connected by each other. Now how do I generate this? So what I do is I concentrate on 2 first. So I'll draw 1 and 2, and I'll say that okay, 2 gets input from 1, right, and 8. So I let's say this is 2, and this is 1, and this is 8. So this is what happens. Now this is 7, let's say. Now 1 get an input from 7, so I just say that okay, this goes to this. When I go to 3, right, 3 gets an input from 4 and 5. So I draw 4. I say it comes back. There is node 5, and it goes to this. So likewise, for every node, you have to see from where it gets the information. Why this information is important is because if I want to solve 3, it means that I have to solve 1 and 8. If I want to solve 1, I should solve 7 first. If I want to solve 3, I should solve 4 and 5 first. That's what this information is all about. So if I look at that, and this is what I get. Once I get this, right? Once I get this, I'll convert it into a table. What is the table? The table is this. And I'll explain this table, but this is node and precursor. These are all your nodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and these are all precursors. From where this table comes, let's say 1 has a precursor 7, so I write 7. 2 has a precursor 1 and 8, so I write 2 as precursor 1 and 8. 3 has a precursor 2 and 5, so I write 3, 2, 5. 4 has a precursor 3, so I write 3. 5 has a precursor 4 and 6, so I write 4 and 6. 6 has a precursor 2 and 5, so I write this. So likewise I prepare this table, and then I apply some rules. What are those rules? Let's see what are those rules. So there are various rules to reduce the graph, right? What are those rules? First, merge nodes with a single precursor. So whenever there is a node with a single precursor, right, we have to eliminate those nodes from the table and represent those nodes with their precursor. What I mean by that is this, very simple. That is, when I have a single precursor, this is my single precursor node, this is my single precursor node, this is my single precursor node, right? What I mean is that 1 is to be eliminated from table, and wherever 1 is there, I have to represent it by 7. Reason being, see this, whether I draw like this or I draw from 7 to 1 and 2 doesn't make difference, right? So the moment I have got 7, 1 is going to get generated, because 1 depends only on one node, and that is 7. So 1 can be deleted from, because it's not adding any information. I am not saying that stream 1 is eliminated. What I am saying is stream 1 is represented by stream 7. Let's go to the our diagram. So stream 1 is represented by stream 7. That's what I am trying to say, because the moment I have got 7 as an input to A, I always have feed with me. So A is very easily simulated, which will generate 1. So as far as passing on information is concerned, single input, single output is not making any addition. However, if there are more than one input, like say for example 1 and 8 to 2, so that needs to be kept in the diagram. So that's what I am trying to say, that wherever there is a single precursor, eliminate that node which is having single precursor, and that node is to be represented by its precursor. And I think this will be clear as we take one of the examples. If there are any parallel arcs like this, from same node something going to the other node in the same direction, you can merge them into one. Now this may not happen in your first instance, your first instance it would not happen, but when you apply various reduction rules of graph, there are 3 rules. In between you might encounter any such figure. So if you encounter any such figure, convert it into a single arc joining 2 nodes. Node elimination. How do you eliminate node and put them into tier set? Tier set is the set containing number tier streams. So eliminate nodes with self loop. What I mean to say is that when I go to nodes and precursor, right? I'll just show you here. Like here you can see that 5, this is node and this is precursor. So 5 is the node and it requires 5 only to be calculated. So this is a single node, so 3 is represented by 5, so I write 5 here. That means what? I have loop 5, I have node 5, it needs 6 as well as 5 to solve. That means what? It is passing through 3 basically, 5 to 3, and then it comes back, but I am eliminating this 3 and it is making 5 to 5. So whenever there is a self loop again will not appear directly. After you apply some rules, you will get this. That means what? Node itself is its precursor. That means what? You have to put that as a tier stream. You have no other way but to put that particular stream into tier set. So then you eliminate. That means what? When you put them into tier set, it means that now you are going to estimate it initially. That means everything everywhere where this is an input, you can now solve. So a self loop means a node which is having on itself as a precursor is to be put into a tier set, right? Next, process 2 edges or edge pairs by eliminating a node which is common to them. So if you encounter any such figure where this is one node, this is another node, and third node, you just see that this goes to this as an input, this goes to this as an input, this comes back and this comes back. So whenever you have this is called as a two-way edge pair. This is called two-way edge pair, right? And this is called as joint two-way edge pair when you have two such things. Whenever you have a joint two-way edge pair, right, you have to eliminate the common node. So the moment you eliminate common node and put them as a TS stream, the moment you put that as a TS stream, what it means, I have got this to initialize. That means I have got input to this and I have got input to this as well. And any joint two-way edge pair, eliminate the common node. So always eliminate the common node, which will make the things like this, and you will be able to solve the sequence. So suppose if you have a self loop, eliminate the node and put them into TS stream. If you have a joint two-way edge, eliminate the common node. If you have a two-way edge, you have to eliminate one of them. Fine. Suppose if there are more than one such two-way edges, like if you have a diagram like this. You see, then this is also a two-way edge and this is also a two-way edge pair. So in that case, you have to eliminate the joint node with maximum number of outputs, right? That means if this has one more output, then you will eliminate this. If this has two more outputs, you will eliminate this. If the number of outputs of the common node is same, then you can randomly choose one of the nodes, right? So that is what about eliminating joint two-way edge pair and its common node. If there is only one such thing, eliminate the common. If there is more than one, find out the one with most number of output. Why most number of output? Because most number of output will impact more number of nodes to be solved, right? If it is same, you can choose arbitrarily, you can choose any random of the 2, 3, whatever. And I think there is a example where we will be able to discuss this again. And last but not the least, say for example, after doing everything, you find that there is no single precursor, there is no self loop, there is no joint two-way edge pair. In that case, you have to eliminate the node with maximum number of output edges. So if you are stuck up somewhere, you don't have self loop, you don't have two-way edge pair, you don't have single precursor node, you have to eliminate the one with maximum output. I tell you this, rules 1, 2, 3, you may apply them n number of times, you may apply them in any sequence, right? But what you have to be clear about is, that you cannot, you may not expect every rule to be applied every time, right? It is quite possible in some of the problems it is only first or second rule is applicable, in some of the problems second and third rules are applicable, in some of the problem first and third is applicable, in some of the cases every rule is applicable. So this is the algorithm of Barkley method. We will discuss this with the help of this, right, in our next video. Thank you.